Cinematic lighting outdoors with zero equipment. That's what I'm going to teach you today. And there are two scenarios you're going to find yourself in 99% of the time. The first is soft light everywhere, and the second is when the sun is out. Now you're going to find yourself in this situation when the sun is below the horizon, so late golden hour or blue hour, or on an overcast day. Now soft light is great because it's super flattering on the face, but when soft light is everywhere, we lose shape and we lose contrast, and those two traits help to create a cinematic image. So how can we get them? Well, looking at this overhead here, what we want to do is bring our subject close to an object that can block part of the sky. And what that's going to do is create a shadow side. And if we stay on the side of the line that's the shadow side, we now have shape and contrast. Now the object we use to block the light can be anything. It can be a building, it can be trees, or it can just be some other large object. Typically, the closer we pull our subject to that object, the more contrast we'll see, and the darker that object is, the more contrast we're going to see, because less light is going to be bounced back into the shadow side. That's exactly what we did for this shot here. It was an overcast day in Toronto, and I brought the talent near the Rogers Arena and used the arena to block part of the sky. And that created a lot of contrast and shape on the subject's face, and took this image from something that would have been pretty flat and boring to something that looks like I really intentionally thought about getting this shot. The second scenario is when the sun is in the sky. Now you may think, like I did, that we follow all the steps in the previous example and use the sun to light our subject. But there's two problems with that. Number one is that the sun is a hard light source, and that can be really unflattering on faces. And number two is that the sun is so bright that the contrast ratio between the highlights and the shadows can become really high. And what happens is when we expose for the highlights, we can lose a lot of information in the shadows. And if we expose for the shadows, the highlights can become overexposed. Now in this picture here, I'm using an 8x8 of diffusion to diffuse the direct sunlight to make it a little softer, and it also helps to bring down the level so the contrast ratios are a little bit more reasonable. But like I said, this video is about zero equipment, so it's $0, and it's super simple for you to get when you're out doing a run and gun shoot. So what we want to do is follow all of the steps in the previous example, except this time we're using the building to block the direct sunlight. And what happens is the sun will travel over that building or object and bounce back towards our subject, and that will become the key light. And the best thing about this is bounced light is less intense and softer than direct light, and therefore it's solving the two problems that we have when the sun is in the sky. Now we also did that here for this outdoor interview. We used trees on one side to block the sunlight coming over them. Now the only problem is there's not a lot of contrast here because we couldn't really get close to the trees since we were filming this on the bleachers. But what I do like about this setup is that we have a consistent soft light on our subject. Because if we had lit this directly with the sun, we would have harsh light on the face, and that harsh light would be changing as the sun moves. Whereas the soft light is a lot more consistent, which is great for something like an interview that could last 5, 10, 20 minutes long. Think about these two scenarios the next time you're out shooting and see what you can get by applying some of the things we talked about today.